professor, physician, epidemiologist. I am Dr. Shree Banerjee. Hello, in this segment I'm going to be going over a very basic statistical test which is known as Way ANOVA. Before we go ahead and get started with this demonstration, I wanted to go over a couple things here. I wanted to specifically go over the dependent variable. Now, the dependent variable is a continuous variable, which in terms of levels of measurement is more interval and ratio. So when we're thinking about the dependent variable, it has to be continuous, and then the independent variable has to have 3 or more categories. And so that means that, for instance, gender, can that be used as an independent variable? If you answered no, then you're correct. It has to be 3 or more categories. So when we're thinking about different categories, race and ethnicity come to mind. Let's do an example now, a demonstration. So now let's get ready to do a calculation. So we go to Analyze and then Compare Means. And then when you get to Compare Means, you go down to Way ANOVA. And then you want to select a dependent variable, which is continuous, like I said. And age is a wonderful continuous variable. Now, you might want to see if there's an actual mean difference between each ethnicity. You won't be able to know from the significance. And I'm going to show you that in a second. So let's see, have we selected our post hoc test? Make sure we have. And then you can take a look at if variances are assumed and then variances are not assumed. If they're not assumed, then to be equal, then Games-Howell is the post hoc test. So these are the ones that you'll be focusing on for this assignment, for this week, Bonferroni and Games-Howell. And then continue. And then select OK. Let's, for this exercise, unclick Games-Howell, just so that it's not confusing. And then select OK. And then once you select OK, your output should show up. And then you have between groups and then within groups. And then you have the F statistic and significance. Now, significance, again, is not telling you that which group is different than the other. All it's telling you is that one of the groups is significantly different than the other. Now, it's your job to find out which category is significantly different than the others. So here's the multiple comparisons. Race 1, which is Caucasian, if that's true between Caucasian and African American, there's a significant difference between the two. By 4, there's a difference. And then 1 versus 3 minus 13.5. And so you can do multiple comparisons from that. And then take a look at the eta squared, which is the effect size. And then some of the more relevant cases. So you start off, just to summarize, you start off trying to go through the understanding of what type of assumptions you have, and if in Way ANOVA is a good fit for you. And then once you determine that, you run the test and make sure that you're running the appropriate post hoc test. And that has to do with variance. Now, one thing that you might have noticed that is missing is how do you actually find out the homogeneity of variance? So what you do is actually go back. Let me show you. and then go back to analyze, and then make sure compare means, and then one-way ANOVA. And let's go back and see if we looked at options. So no, we haven't. So let's look at homogeneity of variance test. Click on that. Continue. Now we can see a better test. Again, in this second demonstration, as you can see, the p-value is significant. The p-value is significant. And then this is the effect size, eta squared. And then multiple comparisons is right here. And then, of course, you have the homogeneity of variance. If it's significant, then the homogeneity test is passes. And then if it's not significant, then homogeneity is not there. So if you're using the homogeneity of variance, you can use the Bonferroni correction, and you'll be good to go. Well, I hope this has given you a good overview over one-way ANOVA and how to run the test in SPSS. Thank you for listening.